Ladies and gentlemen, this interview that Don Lemon did before he was let go by CNN is the one that many people feel pulled the plug on his career. Now, do you know what the funny part? White supremacists are saying Don Lemon got destroyed in this interview. No, actually, I think if he would have got destroyed in the interview, he would never have gotten fired. The thing is, he was able to come back hard, especially with the history. There is no East Indian man that can tell the descendants of slaves what their experience is in America. And it's almost comical listening to him and the things that he was saying. He's so far removed from who we are, it's not even funny. In fact, I'll go as far as saying no foreigner that are a bunch of Johnny come latelys in the land can tell us our experience. Period. End of discussion. So I'm going to go and play this final video, and I also have the most recent statement that Tucker Carlson put out about 24 hours ago.
To do with the other, especially consider and using the Civil War to talk about Black Americans. That war was not fought for Black people to have guns. That's not.
That war was fought for Black people to have freedoms in this country. Yeah. Actually, that's why the Civil War was fought.
Okay.
And the sad part about it,
fought for Black people to have guns. I think.
Actually, you know, funny fact is, Black people did not get to enjoy the other freedoms until their Second Amendment rights were secured. And I think that that's one of the lessons that we learned.
Aren't allowed to enjoy the freedoms.
I disagree with you on that, Don. I disagree with you. And I think you're doing a disservice to our country by failing to recognize the fact that we have equality before the law.
When you are in black skin and you live in this country, then you can disagree with me. But we're not. You mentioned in here that
I
we're
disagree.
three different shades
Don,
of
I think we have to be able to
here.
talk about these issues in the open, regardless of the color of our skin. Black Americans today, to say that, compare that to 1865 and 1964,
I think for you to compare it to
absolutely
1865 and
have equal rights in
1964
this
is
country.
actually, I think it's insulting to Black people. It's insulting to me as an African American. I don't want to sit here and argue with you because it's infuriating for you to put those things together. It's not right. Your telling of history is wrong.
What part of the history was wrong?
What part of the history was wrong? That the Civil War was fought. You're making people think that the Civil War was fought for Black people, only for Black people to get guns and for Black people to have.
The Civil War was fought for Black people in this country to get freedoms, a noble mission. And I think that even after we succeeded, we had to actually secure those freedoms.
To reduce it in a speech at the NRA to say you're making people think, or you're trying to say that Black people to get guns, that was the reason that you're there at the NRA. That was the reason for the Civil War.
It is a
that's
fact.
Reductive.
It's not
and
reductive.
I think it's insulting.
And the Second Amendment was
Black
part
people,
of what secured
hang on,
that
please.
freedom.
I cannot keep a thought if you guys are talking to me in my ear. So hang on one second. So to say that Black people, say what you said again.
Black people secured their freedoms after the Civil War. It is a historical fact, Don. Just study it. Only after their Second Amendment rights were secured.
They were not secured their freedoms after the Civil War. That is not. You are discounting Reconstruction. You're discounting a whole host of things that happened after the Civil War when it comes to African Americans, including the whole reason that the Civil Rights Movement happened is because Black people did not secure their freedoms after the Civil War, and that things turned around. People tried to change the freedoms that were supposed to happen.
And you know how they got it? They got their Second Amendment rights. Well, here's where you and I have a different point of view. I think we should be able to express our views regardless of the color of our skin. We should have this debate without me regarding you as a Black man, but me regarding you as a fellow citizen. That's what I think we should see.
Whatever ethnicity you are, explaining to me
whatever ethnicity I am,
what it's like to be Black.
Whatever ethnicity I am, I'll tell you what I am. I'm an Indian American. I'm proud of it. But I think we should have this debate. Black, white, doesn't matter.
I think we should have this
on
debate.
The content of the ideas.
If you're going to do it, you should do it in an honest way and in a fair way. And what you're doing is not an honest and fair way. Okay? But we appreciate you coming on.
With due respect, Don, I look forward to continuing that conversation.
Thank you. The conversation.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you, Papa.
We'll talk about China.
Yes, let's talk about China.
Next time you come back.
Oh, thank you. Much to say on declaring independence from China.
Okay,
something you can
move
add
on now, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So, I mean, in this one, I do agree with Don Lemon. I think non uh, black foreigners and people in general that did not live through our experience should tell us what it is. That is a problem I've always had throughout my life. I don't need them folks telling me what slavery was like. I don't need foreigners to come in this land that don't know the history and don't know what we have gone through to tell us what we're not doing or we're lazy and just repeating the same talks, a white supremacist talking point. And when he said what he said about the Second Amendment rights of Black people, the Civil War was fought. Ladies and gentlemen, how do you take somebody like this seriously in a conversation? You know, he skipped over, like Don Lemon said, Reconstruction, Jim Crow. What freedoms did we have during Jim Crow? And there's many people that believe we're still in Jim Crow because of the way we continue to get treated. So, 100 years of Jim Crow, what freedoms did we have? Okay, civil rights was because we were getting locked out all over the place in employment, and you know the white only and black only signs are up, and we couldn't do what we want and go where we wanted. And people like Vivek Ramaswamy, he's never lived that. Although there are many East Indians, especially the dark skinned ones that come over here, they are discriminated against. And on one of my jobs, I worked with a dark skinned East Indian man, although he sat around and believed he was, he does what many of the foreigners do when they come in this land. They think they're better than somebody else. And he ultimately had a hard time with a Karen manager. And she pushed him out the door and brought one of her buddies in. So this man is definitely an insult. But you got to understand, many of these foreigners are given very negative propaganda about us before they even come in this country. So by the time they land on the soil, they have a lot of biases and a lot of negative views, and they more than likely have fallen for the white supremacist American propaganda in this country. You know, so you know what part he, I think, really did it when they were talking to him, probably trying to tell Don Lemon what to say, because you know how these folks are. They're always trying to control our every move, and probably telling him what to say back to him. And he pretty much let him know, I don't talk in my ear. I'm trying to have this conversation. And I think that's what they didn't like. These folks really have that bad. They want us to sit around and be their puppets, and we do and walk and talk like them and sound like them. See, as long as you're that kind of Negro, they will halfway put up with you. And they'll grow tired of them eventually. But they will put up with them a little more. But I do agree this was probably his career ender. They didn't like the back and forth he did. And they don't like the Black community to be defended. If you attempt to defend the Black community, they take offense to that because, we're supposed to just be a bunch of lame ducks, and nobody should defend us, and nobody should speak up for us. And look, they have issues with that on YouTube. If we speak up for our community, look at the kind of stuff they come and put in the comment section. They don't like us defending each other. They don't like us putting videos out speaking from our point of view. They don't like that. We're supposed to be, more like your Candace Owens, Larry Elder kind of people. And if you're not like that, then something's wrong with you. You're woke and all that nonsense they be coming up with. And then the funny part is they tell you you're woke and then can't even describe what that is. It's just hilarious. They hate something but can't define what it is. So, y'all, I'm going to also show Tucker Carlson's recent statement that he put out. And I'll be back with the final part of my commentary.
Good evening, it's Tucker Carlson. One of the first things you realize when you step outside the noise for a few days is how many genuinely nice people there are in this country. Kind and decent people, people who really care about what's true, and a bunch of hilarious people also, a lot of those. It's got to be the majority of the population, even now. So that's heartening. The other thing you notice when you take a little time off is how unbelievably stupid most of the debates you see on television are. They're completely irrelevant. They mean nothing. In 5 years, we won't even remember that we had them. Trust me, as someone who's participated. Suddenly, the United States looks very much like a one-party state. That's a depressing realization, but it's not permanent. Our current orthodoxies won't last. When honest people say what's true, calmly and without embarrassment, they become powerful. At the same time, the liars who've been trying to silence them shrink, and they become weaker. That's the iron law of the universe. True things prevail. Where can you still find Americans saying true things? There aren't many places left, but there are some, and that's enough. As long as you can hear the words, there is hope. See you soon.
Okay, so one of the first things that most people notice is Tucker Carlson did not speak about being fired. And he probably more than likely was advised by his attorney not to say anything about it. I know Don Lemon was quite vocal, and he said CNN owes him $20 million. And he is going to fight for it. So, and I'm sure Tucker, because I don't know what his circumstances are, because that really has not been revealed, other than his contract was being renegotiated at the time. And he was supposed to get a contract that went all the way to 2029. So we know that did not happen. But, I don't know if his contract was still in effect. It could have been if they were renegotiating before it ended. I mean, that's possible, but we don't know that. So I think that's why he just let people know that he's still there. And I don't think this is going to be the last time that you hear from Don Lemon or Tucker Carlson. Being that they were both very recognizable figures in mainstream news, I think they are people that you're going to see from time to time. I don't think they're going to go away quietly, and it's not the first time that Fox News got rid of somebody that was real high profile. Y'all remember Bill O'Reilly? He got fired. So, many people felt Tucker Carlson was a white supremacist sympathizer. And, now you're hearing behind the scenes he couldn't stand Donald Trump. But on the show, he was on code. Many of us saw he was very much on code. So it seems like to me in Don Lemon's case, he was defending the descendants of slaves. And Tucker Carlson was really pushing the fake propaganda. And that's where he ran into all kinds of problems, especially when it came down to Donald Trump losing the election and people, and Tucker Carlson is saying the election was stolen and all that stuff. So it seems to me one was defending a community and the other one was nursing a lot of the fake propaganda out here, and that did him in. We all heard about Dominion and Fox settling a lawsuit totaling practically $1 billion behind a lot of things that Tucker Carlson was saying on his show. you know and see, that's one thing Don Lemon did not have on his plate. He did not cost CNN nearly $1 billion over things he was saying. So there is a big difference in how these two were fired. But y'all, please tell me what you think about this video. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.